Welcome in. It's time for another Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network. I'm Jason Longshore, and this is the soccer news that you need to know for Tuesday, December 31st. We're in the final hours of 2024. Sergio Conceição, before the year was done, he is officially in charge at Milan. He's overseeing a training session. He is taking over a team that's in 8th place, 8 points below the top 4 in Serie A. Fans have been very upset about the club's form. They showed up at a private party outside for the 125th anniversary of the club with banners saying, "You're not worthy of our history," yelling at players, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff doesn't help anything. That stuff won't help Sergio Conceição. It did not help Paulo Fonseca, who I don't think is to blame in this situation. I think his form and what he tried to do was all right. 8th place is not where they want to be, but when you look at the squad and you compare it to the rest of the league, not completely out of the running to be in 8th place here. Fonseca didn't have enough time to get the best out of him. I think more than anything, this shows that maybe Milan was foolish in moving on from Pioli and also some of the other club legends who have been ushered out of the club at this point. Fonseca didn't get enough time. Conceição's only got a 6-month deal to try to earn a contract for next year. I don't think that's going to be enough time for him. I think he's probably going to have to be fairly defensive and fairly trying not to lose while also stealing some wins to get results. And I don't know if that's going to actually impress this fan base right now. There's a lot of issues for the fan base being where they are at Milan, and it's not purely about results. Keep that in mind. But Conceição is going to have to get a little bit of time to build this thing, and I don't think he's going to get that. And I don't think this is going to get better. I think it's only going to get worse at Milan. Speaking of potentially not getting better and getting worse, Manchester United, Ruben Amorim, he said that his club is now in a battle for Premier League survival. They lost to Newcastle 2-0 at Old Trafford. Didn't look good. 4th consecutive defeat after their Manchester derby win. Amorim said, look, his team's not good enough. He said they're not too good to go down. Said our club needs a shock. This team is not responding to Amorim and what they want, and that's a shame. Because this is a guy who's been successful. You know, this idea, and I think in England maybe this comes up more often than in some other countries about people who have had success elsewhere. Oh, yeah, but they're not ready for the Premier League. No, I disagree with that, and I think managers who have come in and had success have shown that that's not true. But when that's the narrative a little bit in a locker room and they're not respecting the manager in the way that they should, and it's seeming that way when you look at the way this Manchester United team is playing, this is a problem. And I think in England there is a little bit too much of reading the press clippings in these moments. And Ruben Amorim is a very intelligent manager, and he is not having an effect on this Manchester United team right now. And that's worrying. I don't know where he is in terms of motivating the squad, convincing the squad of what he wants to do. I'm not sure where that stands. It doesn't look good from the outside. You can't jump to conclusions, just like we talked about with Conceição and people needing time. But Amorim could get himself into a potential logjam of not getting to continue to see this out if they get into a true relegation scrap. Because Manchester United hasn't been in those in a long, long time. The reaction to such a thing will be very severe, and it would not be a shock if also you talk about, and Milan and Manchester United are in two different situations. Keep that in mind. Milan is not anywhere near a relegation scrap. Manchester United might be. And when you get there and you have to worry about not losing and getting a point however you get a point, that's a different conversation. And Amorim might get forced into that, and it might be thought that he is not the guy to get through that. It'd be a shame for somebody who has quickly risen up the ranks as one of the top young coaches in the world, especially in his native Portugal. He should get time to be the guy at Manchester United. But the question, if they keep sliding, will be, is he the guy, not about the future, but the right now to get through what could be a very tricky situation with players who have never been in that situation and do not appear to be handling the situation that they're in very well at all right now. Ipswich Town, they had a special night. They beat Chelsea 2-0, the first home win in the Premier League in more than 2 decades for Ipswich Town. Liam Delap and Omari Hutchinson scored the goals. First top-flight triumph at Portman Road since April 2002 when they beat Middlesbrough. It's only the third win of the season for Ipswich Town. They are ahead of Leicester City now in the standings, but they remain in the bottom 3. Kieran McKenna, their manager, believes that better days lie ahead, and he said this could be the start of something here, this special night for the club as they beat Chelsea. A very unexpected result in the Premier League. Not unexpected is Plymouth Argyle parting company with Wayne Rooney. 4 wins in 23 games for the 39-year-old legend of the sport. He leaves with Plymouth last in the English Championship, the English second tier, with that 4 wins in 23 games. 2-0 loss to Oxford United on Sunday. Plymouth Argyle has not won in 9. Barcelona are trying to find another different financial lever to get the Spanish League to approve the registration for Dani Olmo and Pau Victor for the rest of the season. A judge ruled against the club on Monday. This is going into the courts now, not just the Spanish league system and setup. It's beyond arbitration, I guess. It's into the courts. It's the second court setback against Barcelona as they try to get the players registered before the end of the year deadline. They're running out of time. They've only got a few hours left. Just so you know, each Spanish club, they have a salary cap. But it's not like our salary cap in MLS. It's based on a series of factors that include revenues, costs, debts, roughly proportional to 70% of a club's revenues. So Barcelona are trying to show that they have increased their revenues to increase the amount they can spend. It's a really weird way to do it, and it's more about sustainability than an actual salary cap because clubs are not allowed to spend as much as Real Madrid right now, for example, which doesn't seem very good from competitive balance, does it? Probably something that should be thought about, but I don't think anybody really wants to think about that in Spain. And you have the situation with Barcelona now where they're desperately trying to find some money to come in. They sold future TV rights. They've done a bunch of these different financial levers. This is why Messi left in 2021, and it might be why Dani Olmo leaves because reportedly if they don't get him registered, he can leave on a free after they paid, I think, $50 million to bring him in from RB Leipzig. In the English League Cup semifinals, referees will make in-stadium announcements of the outcome of video reviews. It'll be the first time that this has been done in English soccer. We're used to it here with MLS. We've seen it in other competitions as well. But Arsenal, Newcastle, and Tottenham, Liverpool will be the semifinals that will see this. They're held over 2 legs as well. And I'm sure there will be chaos and outrage and yelling and screaming. And I'm just really hoping that we get a really good however in one of these games because people will lose their minds and I will laugh a lot. Let's get into some other conversation, more on the rumor and innuendo front here in the Morning Espresso. Andre Jardine, the manager at Club America, he has been one of the masterminds as they have won 3 straight league championships in Liga MX. He's getting some interest south in Brazil, specifically at Botafogo, because Artur Jorge, the manager who won the Brazilian Serie A title, the Copa Libertadores at Botafogo, he has left. Sergio Conceição was linked to going to Botafogo. He's not. He's at Milan now. And according to reports out of Brazil, specifically Paulo Vinicius Coelho, Botafogo has Andre Jardine on their list. Very, very interesting. Keep an eye on that one if you are a Club America fan. That would be a big move for Jardine. I think he's ready for it. It'd be a big move for Botafogo, and what Club America would do next would be fascinating. MLS roster moves. San Jose, they acquired Earl Edwards Jr., goalkeeper from the New England Revolution. $150,000 in general allocation money for the 2025 season going from San Jose to New England. He will reunite with Bruce Arena with the Quakes. Feels like a lot of money for a 32-year-old who is joining his fourth team in MLS and has not been a regular in the league. Gio Reyna is linked with a possible move to Milan this morning, according to Gazzetta in Italy. This is due to the link between his agent, Jorge Mendes, and Mendez's other client, Sergio Conceição, who has been a constant thread through the Morning Espresso this morning. Reports out of Argentina and Colombia have Juan Fernando Quintero leaving Racing and going back to Colombia for family reasons. His wife has been battling illness, and he's been traveling back and forth between Argentina and Colombia and has decided to leave Argentina to not have to do that and go back and forth and support his family a little bit more closely. America de Cali appears to be the most likely destination in Colombia, but they're going to have to work out a transfer or a mutual termination of his contract because he's still under contract at Racing. He was recently voted Player of the Year in a poll conducted by TIC after the incredible season for Racing that saw them have great success in the league, but also win the Copa Sudamericana. There's some unconfirmed reports following up on yesterday's piece on Brandon Vazquez that his contract has been mutually terminated at Monterrey. This has not been confirmed. This would be a huge surprise because there should be a demand for his services. Monterrey paid a transfer fee to Cincinnati to bring him in, and you would expect that they would try to get some kind of a return on that because there has been talk about interest from MLS clubs. There's also been the rumors about a potential move to Europe. It was a pretty significant transfer fee as well. I don't have the number in front of me, but I believe somewhere in the $7 million range that Monterrey paid to Cincinnati. I'd be shocked if they just let him walk on a free. Monterrey has a lot of money, but do they just want him gone that badly after not a great year, but not a bad year either? It was a bad second half to the year where I only had 4 goals. I'm not completely buying that report yet, so stay tuned. But Vazquez apparently will be leaving Monterrey, and it'll be fascinating to see where he goes right now. Is there a European move for him or an MLS move, including maybe a former club that he's played at in Major League Soccer, or a club that is now very close to where he grew up in San Diego? So could be very, very interesting for Brandon Vazquez. Stay tuned. One piece of reading for you as you wrap up your 2024. Jonathan Wilson at The Guardian wrote a great piece on kind of the tactical evolutions that he saw. He's one of the best writers about tactics. I think he puts it into real-world conversation in terms of understanding the game and how it's being played out. The age of tactical ideologues is over as Spain dominates new era of pragmatism. And it's the good kind of pragmatism as well that Jonathan is talking about in the article. Go check it out. Not a long read, a really good one to get caught up on where things stand. And he kind of goes into some of the issues that Pep Guardiola is having at Manchester City, and something that we've talked about here on the Espresso with the lack of defensive intensity really coming back to bite City. And he makes some I think very good comparisons to kind of the end of eras at other clubs, and how when a club or a manager takes a chance to add a layer to their system, like adding somebody like Erling Haaland, you actually end up hastening the decline of the team because you're almost like stretching past what your team can do, and you take something away to add that extra piece. And while you might have a short-term gain, the long-term deficit could be a problem. I think City's dealing with that now, and how they solve it will be a thing to watch here in early 2025. We'll see if Guardiola can get it right with City, and we'll see how the tactics continue to evolve worldwide as the possession-based teams come a little bit more towards, we need to press, we need to do these things right, we need to be very intentional about how we do it. The pressing teams come more to the middle as well of, we need more of the ball, and we're going to have to do things, and we have to be able to play in these situations. A lot of the conversation we've had with the New York Red Bulls, for example. Fascinating things. Jonathan Wilson gives you a good overview of where things stand tactically in the world going into 2025. Last show of the year is about to start on the SDH Network, on YouTube, on X, and on Twitch. John Nelson will be taking care of you there. Hopefully you've enjoyed our morning espressos. They will continue on into 2025. We'll try to get you started each day with the soccer news that you need to know. I'm Jason Longshore. Enjoy your espresso. Talk to you tomorrow.